Hey, Kevin Coy here from Kevin's Micro Homestead, and talking to you live from inside the tiny beach house we've got building over here on our project. And I wanted to talk today about design of this home and just kind of design of a small home in general. We're getting a lot of comments and questions and emails about the design of the house, and can we get plans, and asking a lot of questions about how we came up with this particular footprint and design here. And so we put a lot of thought into this, and it's been something that as we go through each stage of the building process, we continue to consider the different criteria that we're matching up against to make sure that we're staying on track with what we want in this house. And it's morphed quite a bit from the beginning of our original thought process to where it's at now, and I expect it's going to continue to do that as we go along. It's partly discovery and partly just being in the space and considering the different elements. And so the three big things that we kind of go for, that we keep matching up against, is the economy, the efficiency, and the eco-friendliness of this project. And we live in a pretty special place here. We're right on the Pacific Ocean in southwestern Washington, and we feel really special and pretty excited about the fact that we get to have this piece of property to work with and live on. And so we wanted to make sure that we worked with the property in the area, not just drop some big monster in here and say this is our place. And so that being said, the cost and the economy and the eco-friendliness of the project really came into play for us. And so one of the things that we considered was just the simplicity of the design. It's a pretty small footprint, and it's very material efficient in how we design this, so that we wouldn't have a lot of waste and we wouldn't have a lot of disturbance of the property when we built the house. And so one of the things that, if you notice, it's a box for all intents and purposes. So that makes it very simple to build and very simple for you to copy if that's what you want to do. This is a 24 by 24 square, and because building materials come in 2 foot, 4 foot increments for the most part, we wanted to use those types of measurements, which would leave us very efficient with the materials we bought, so we wouldn't be spending money on material that we were throwing away and dumping into the landfill. And so the wall being 24 feet on each side gave us exactly 6 sheets of exterior sheathing with no cutting. So other than for windows and doors, there's no throwing away material. And the same thing with our framework is essentially, these studs never got cut. We just put them in. They're the right length. And so there's very little waste. We have a little bit of cutting to do around doors and windows. But at this point in time, as far as we've gotten with the building, I don't think there's more than about a wheelbarrow full of material left over from construction. And so that's pretty doggone efficient when you compare it to the average house in the U.S. that has dump truck loads of material getting thrown away after the project. So and then another thing is that our 2 biggest expensive areas in a house are the kitchen and bath. And so we've kept those very space efficient and clustered into one area. So I'm standing in what will be the kitchen, the refrigerator and stove, and then the counter comes around underneath this window where the sink will be. And then the bathroom / utility area is over here on this side of the wall. So our plumbing and electrical are really clustered for the most part in this house into this one small space. And so it's really efficient. Very little running from one side of the house to the other with materials, which takes up a lot of labor and cost in those materials. And so those are considerations. The other thing is we created a free span building, so we don't have any load-bearing walls or columns inside the house, and that gives us the ability to have a very flexible open space that we can design in without having to consider having anything being permanent in the middle of anything that carry the weight. So the only two interior walls are right here. They're not load bearing, and they're just the minimum number of walls we needed to put up to create the space for the bathroom and the utility area, which encompasses the hot water tank and the washer and dryer as well as the bath. So everything's in there. The majority of the electrical is going to be in this part of the building over here. The panel itself will just be coming in right over here, and this is our sleeping area. We put a panel right over here is where it's going to go, and then so all the wiring is going to run over here. There'll be a little bit coming through here for some outlets and a couple of switches, but for the most part, the majority of that electrical is over here as well as the plumbing, so it keeps it very space efficient. The roof line is a very simple roof line, and was very inexpensive to create. As a result, if you start putting a lot of cut-up architectural details on your roof, dormers and valleys and so forth, you start getting into a lot more expense. You also get into a lot more material and labor and a lot more maintenance. And so maintenance was one of the simplicities that we wanted to have here. It's pretty much an open floor plan with durability of materials. This is our finished floor is going to be the concrete here, so we've got a lot of you know, a little bit more cost in the foundation here, but in the long run, since we're not buying carpet, tile, vinyl, any kind of laminates or anything like that, those are a lot of expense, and there's a lot of maintenance that goes with those. And so our concrete floor is going to be stained, and it's finished, and that's going to, the longevity there is tremendous. Windows, everything basically is off-the-shelf components in the design of this house. This is all stuff you can go down to your big box store or your hardware store and pick up without having a special order, which again, those items are mass-produced, and so the economy of cost of materials and labor is better for you. So the windows are all basically off the shelf. Now we did order this one, so it was a little bit more expensive than a normal window off the shelf for that size, because we wanted a single hung rather than a slider like the one over there, because we wanted that to have a pass-through so that we could push food in and out to the patio, and so that's why we wanted it going the other direction. But even at that, going through the big box store to order that was only slightly more. And again, these windows are in 4-foot and 6-foot increments, so again, material efficient and relatively inexpensive for what they are, although they are a good quality product that'll last a long time. Our exterior is going to be very low maintenance. We're going to put cedar siding on, which takes almost no maintenance. There's no painting to worry about, and the longevity of the material is really good. And then our roofing is a 50-year product of shingles, and so it'll last a good long time. So we have very little maintenance and upkeep cost associated with that. We originally talked about going 24 by 36 rather than the 24 by 24 we have now, but we have an option to fill in if we don't feel like we have enough space. The patio could be framed up and included into the inside portion of the house if we choose to do so in the future, so we have a little bit of flexibility there again. But really we have a lot of kind of shift on the fly that we can do here, because we do have this open space, and so we like the fact that we can kind of change our minds as we go. We're going to be buying off-the-shelf cabinetry for the kitchen, and that's going to keep costs down again. But with what is available, there's some really nice products out there that you don't have to spend a ton of money on and still have a really nice functional and aesthetically pleasing finish. And so we just wanted to kind of go over that a little bit, talk about some of the why of what we were doing here. If you have an interest, if you'd like to find out more, if you're interested in perhaps, seeing some plans for our design, we could do something to make that available. If you would like to know more about that, if you want to comment below the video, or you can email us at kevin@aselfreliantlife.com and let us know if you're interested. I've actually have several people that have asked about that, and so we could make those available if there's enough interest. And I just thought I'd give you a little tour and a little bit of the thinking behind how we went about putting this together. This will be super insulated, way more insulated than what we really need for the area, but that goes back into the conservation realm of what we're doing here. We're going to over insulate, which is going to make things a lot more efficient to heat and cool. And you can't really, it's one area in a house building, if you're going to not skimp, is an insulation, because you're going to make your money back for a long period of time with the heating and cooling costs being down as a result of that. So never be afraid to add more insulation. That's the best money for your, bang for your buck on building. So just thought I'd give you an update on that. We may do another part to this design series based on feedback we get off of this this particular video. So just thought I'd give you a little bit of thinking on that. Let me know what you think about it. If you have any other questions or comments, always put them on the comments below here on the video, and I will see you on the next video.